so let's talk about very quickly, why is it that some leaders fail? Here's what I know for a fact. Statistics say that about 80% of new entrepreneurial ventures fail within the first 2 to 3 years. So people are setting up new companies, setting up new organizations, and these organizations are experiencing failure very quickly. Now, John Maxwell teaches us the law of the lead that simply says that the leader determines the lead. The leader caps the level of effectiveness and success of organizations. So it means that if 80% of businesses are failing, it's because 80% of the leaders are also failing. Now, here's the look at entrepreneurial ventures, but the same statistic obviously applies to people within organizations. A lot of people within organizations fail or suffer failures, especially in the early stages of their leadership, for a number of important reasons. Now, the number one reason I think, and it goes back to that conversation we had earlier about are leaders made or born? Now, leaders are made. It means that you can make yourself to fail, or you can make yourself to succeed. Your objective as a leader is to make yourself to succeed. The objective of you as a leader is to help other leaders to also succeed. Here's what I have found in most organizations, most people I have interacted with in my work, and in my own experience growing into a position of leadership. I have found that most people are ill prepared for leadership. They are not well prepared for the tasks of being a leader. And the number one reason why this happens is that oftentimes organizations take people who are very good technical people. So you take the best accountant, and you make the best accountant in your team the chief accountant. You take the best call center agent in the call center, and you make her the call center manager. You take the best salesperson within your organization, and you make this person the regional manager sales. The question you need to ask yourself is, have you prepared these people for leadership? What I have found is 3 very interesting things, which is number one, people tend to believe that the thing that brought them to where they are, that is, the skills that they had that made them good accountants, the skills of selling and engagement that made them good salespeople, they often think that those skills will help them succeed in leadership. Fallacy number one, it doesn't happen. For you to succeed as a leader, you need a different set of skills. You need skills in management. You need to be able to do a performance contract, to do a performance appraisal. You need to be able to delegate effectively. You need to be able to communicate with impact. You need to be able to negotiate with people. You need to be able to set goals and drive performance with people. These things you do not learn when you are just a technical person, being a technical salesperson or being a call center agent. You don't learn those skills. Okay, so you can't just take the security man that is very good and make him the chief security officer if you haven't taught him how to manage people on one hand, and more importantly, if you haven't taught that person what it takes to be a leader. Leadership is about influence. Leadership is about inspiration. Leadership is about motivation. Leadership is about building connections. It's about helping people to see the big picture. It's about gaining commitment from the people that you lead. Being a good accountant doesn't naturally translate to being an effective leader. Now, the other challenge I find about people growing in leadership and having this challenge of failing is that sometimes leaders who get into positions of leadership forget that everyone else is growing. That is, that the people who they lead, the people that they are now being put over to supervise, those people, they are reading books. Those people are watching videos like the video that you are watching right now. And guess what? They are also growing. So here's what is happening. You are a very good accountant. You have become the chief accountant. Your quality, in fact, your leadership index is somewhere around 2/10. The people below you who are still operating as accounting clerks and accountants are actually better leaders. They are better team players. They are better motivators. They love themselves. They are confident. They are sure. But here you are. you are just 2/10. Now the people around you are growing. And it's a very important thing. So where people around you are growing, they are reading books, they are watching videos, and they are learning to be better. They are applying the things that they are learning, and they are learning to be better leaders. You are stuck there at 2/10. Third very difficult thing that happens and often triggers of failure in leaders is that they also don't recognize that the world is changing. Change is happening everywhere. And to be able to lead in an age of change, you need to be effective in leadership. You can't lead people when the markets are moving differently. You can't lead people when customer expectations are changing, when there is new technology that is affecting the way your business is being done. If you can't grapple with what it takes to lead people effectively, then how can you lead people in turbulent times of transformational change? So here's what comes from a very interesting reading I got from a guy called Professor Watkins of Harvard Business School, and he talks about the 6 traps that new leaders face. Now before I talk about Watkins' 6 traps, I want to share with you what I believe that people must do. Here's what I think. I think that before people go into positions of leadership, before you make somebody a manager with responsibility for people under them, I think that organizational leaders like you and I have to prepare them. We prepare them by being deliberate about coaching them, about mentoring them, about teaching them what leadership is and what the expectations of them are. Now, having cooked them properly to become leaders, when they do get into the position of leadership and start to practice leadership by influencing the people around them, then we must continue to support them with more coaching, more mentoring, more teaching, more resources to help them to grow and be able to grapple with the realities that, number one, what brought them here will not keep them here. That, number two, everyone else around them is potentially growing. And that, number three, there is transformational change all around the world affecting them, your business, and your organization. So let's talk about the 6 traps. Trap number 1, lots of new leaders are isolated. You know, if you think about leadership is influence. John Maxwell says that if you are leading people and there's nobody behind you, that you are taking a walk. Now, as a leader, you can't be isolated. Sometimes people say it's lonely up there. It's not lonely, it's lonely because you have made it lonely. So when you get into your position of leadership, do not make it a lone journey. When I was a very young manager, my first managerial responsibility, I was all alone because I thought that what I needed to succeed was the brains and the hard work and the commitment that I had given as a young financial analyst. What I then learned was that there was much more. It was about relationships. So very importantly, being isolated, one of the 6 traps. What you need to do, you need to reach out to people and build relationships. Second trap is coming in with the answer. You know, sometimes people make transitions, and this is not even from young person to manager. This is, you're an experienced manager in one department of your organization and you're moving into another department of your organization. What do? You come into that department with preconceived answers. Oh, I know what is wrong with those damn people in sales. Once I get into sales, I'm going to fix that sales department, and that sales department is going to be spick and span. And here is my 7-point agenda. Now, here's what happens when you come in with such a well-crafted agenda. There are 2 or 3 things that will have gone wrong. One, you may have underestimated how big the problem is. And 2, in underestimating how big the problem is, you will be, running roughshod the people who are already there. The people feel, ooh, okay, here's Superman. He's coming all the way from customer service to sales. He's got all the answers. Let him ride. It is no wonder that sometimes you feel isolated. Third trap, according to Professor Watkins, is staying too long with a mediocre team that you inherited. Sometimes as leaders, again, you're coming from the sales department and you're moving into customer service, and you say to yourself, look, all these people are meeting in customer service. I know that they are not the type of people that will deliver the results that we want, but I want to be politically correct. I don't think that I should start off my leadership by getting rid of people, so let me give them a chance. And that's fine. Give them a chance. You come in as CEO of a new company, give your top team a chance, but define clearly what that chance means. That is, in 6 months' time, I expect you to perform X, Y, Z. If you don't perform X, Y, Z, then off you go. Simple. You can't say that you are going to keep the person there forever believing that you are going to change the person. Maybe the person is just a square peg, desperately trying to fit into a round hole. What you need to do is give the person a chance, set clear performance expectations for that person, manage the person through those expectations, and when you find, after the time you have given, that this person cannot cope, that this person is mediocre, then you must release that person to their destiny. Number 4, according to Watkins, is attempting to do too much. Sometimes we come into a new job, into a new responsibility of leadership, and guess what? We want to do a lot of things. We want to do this is a priority, that is a priority. We need to build new that, we need to do new technology, we need to get new customers, we need to come up with new products. Guess what? You get confusing. And you confuse the people around you. People are running around like headless chickens, trying to manage all your convoluted priorities. Now, you've got good intentions. It is your creativity that is driving you. It is the commitment and the creativity that comes with that commitment that is driving you to all these fantastic ideas. But guess what? Those ideas may be confusing the people that you lead. So here's what you need to do. You need to decide what are the most important priorities, and then you need to focus your people one at a time in clusters of priorities so that they can deliver priority by priority by priority. Again, every time I listen, I read, especially this reading, and I teach it, I find myself, I remember myself all the time. I can situate my own leadership and some of the failures that I had because of having too many ideas and too many priorities. Now, the 5th one, according to Watkins, is being captured by the wrong people. So here's what happens. I had a conversation, and you would pardon me, with a friend of mine who is an expatriate, who is somebody who comes from outside Nigeria, comes to work in Nigeria, and he confirms to me that a lot of expatriates fall for this one. That is, they come into a country, they come into an organization, they've read the dossier of the country, they've read the file, they've read the people, and they say, you know what, the person I'm going to work with is a lady called Halima. Halima is great, and they meet Halima. Halima comes to pick them from the airport, and Halima starts to tell them the story of the organization from one perspective. They get captured by the wrong people. Now, because they struck off on a good chord with Halima on day one, they think that Halima is has all the information that they require to succeed. And so Halima, unknown to them, is feeding them with one side of the story. Feeding them stories about certain people, about the way work should be done, about expectations of the board, about expectations of other stakeholders. And that may not necessarily be the right thing. Here's what you need to do. When you get into a new team, when you get into a new organization as a leader, you need to get everybody's opinions. Have one-on-one conversations with people. Have town hall meetings with people. Ensure that you are getting a varied perspective on issues rather than relying too heavily on that one person who picked you up at the airport. Okay? Final one from Professor Watkins is setting unrealistic expectations. Now, it's very good to stretch people when you start to lead them, but it's much more difficult when some of that stretch is way too stretchy. So, very importantly, you need to learn to set realistic expectations. Set expectations that you yourself can achieve. These expectations can still stretch people significantly. But here's what I believe. By allowing yourself to be isolated without building relationships, by always coming into new leadership positions with a specific answer that you believe is the right answer, by staying too long with a mediocre team that you have inherited, by attempting to do too many things and confusing people with priorities, by being captured by the wrong people and setting unrealistic expectations. You may have just set yourself up for failure in your leadership responsibility.